I keep seeing negative posts all over the internet that compared to the US, reaching financial independence and retiring early is almost impossible due to the much lower wages and therefore not worth pursuing in the first place. And I get it, it seems a lot harder when just looking at the raw numbers and the way Europe has been trending downhill over the past 15 years. Sadly, I don't see this changing anytime soon, certainly not with the policies the EU keeps pushing on everyone. But I'd still like to challenge that way of thinking, which is way too pessimistic and simplistic in my opinion. First, ever since finding out about the financial independence movement back in 2017, via Pete Adini aka Mr. Money Mustache, I've met quite a few people that were able to retire early in Europe in their 30s and 40s, and my wife and I are getting close to reaching this goal as well ourselves in a year or two if things go well. Assuming our expenses as a family of 3 don't change too drastically until then. If they do, no big deal, after all we're only 34 and 30 years old respectively, and chances are we'll keep earning money one way or another. And secondly, the whole pursuit of financial independence and early retirement is not black or white. It's not like you only get to enjoy the benefits of what you were able to save and invest over a prolonged period of time once you mathematically reach your magical FI number. Being conscious of where your money is going, how much you need to live your ideal lifestyle, and building a habit of saving and investing on a regular basis adds so much freedom to your life already. But let's take a step back to better explain what I mean. Financially, we can go through many different stages in life. Let's start with stage number 1, which I'm going to call financial dependence. Yes, you heard it correctly, dependence, not independence. At this point, you're fully relying on your monthly paycheck to cover your bills, and there's no money left over at the end of each month. A large number of people are stuck at this stage, oftentimes even simply as a result of some lifestyle choices. Maybe you get an apartment or house that's a lot bigger and as a result more expensive than what you would have needed. Or perhaps you're working a lot and you then feel like you should reward and treat yourself, so you end up spending a good portion of your salary on extra clothing or other items you didn't need, dining out on a regular basis, or expensive vacations. Who knows, you might even have gotten a number of raises and promotions over the years, but you kept upgrading your lifestyle, so there's still no money left over at the end of each month. Okay, now let's get to stage number 2, which is FU money. At this point, you have several months of living expenses saved up, so you're able to feel a lot more relaxed about your finances, and the thought of losing your job doesn't stress you out as much anymore. The term FU money refers to you having the power to say FU to a job you dislike, as you have enough set aside to go searching for another one you find more fulfilling, even if it were to take you a while to find it. You likely also started investing some of your money at this point, for example in broad-based low-cost ETFs, my personal favorite way to invest long-term. Speaking of that, you can find the best low-cost brokers for ETFs in Europe linked down below in the description, which is a great way to support me if you'd like to. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. The next stage, number 3, is Barista fire or semi-retirement. At this point, you've managed to accumulate 100,000 euros or more in investments. While your full FI number according to the 4% rule still seems far away, or you feel like you may never reach it, especially if you're older, you now have a lot more options to make your life more enjoyable. As a quick reminder, to get to your financial independence number using the common safe withdrawal rate of 4%, you need to multiply your yearly expenses by 25, which in our case gets us to 511,800 euros we would need to have invested in order to never have to work again based on our current cost of living. You may or may not agree with the 4% rule, but in my opinion it's still valid as a rough guideline, also based on updated calculations by the Poor Swiss, who recently published an update of the Trinity study including stocks from all across the world, not only the US. Now, what exactly is Barista fire aka semi-retirement? The point at which you're able to reduce your work hours to part-time instead of full-time, or choose a lower paying job you like more, while covering some of your monthly living expenses with small, regular withdrawals from your investments if needed. For example, if your investments have grown to 100,000 euros, according to the 4% rule, you could safely cover 333 euros per month, 666 euros per month if you're at 200,000 euros, or 1,000 euros per month if your portfolio is worth 300,000 euros. These withdrawals are going to push your potential early retirement date backwards, but it might make the journey a lot more enjoyable. And if you manage to switch to a job you'd want to be doing even if money wasn't the primary driver, then you basically won already. That's because everyone I've gotten to know over the past 7 years that mathematically reached FI and wouldn't need to work anymore, got bored of not doing anything productive after a while and is now working on something they enjoy, oftentimes a project of their own. I would also like to keep making YouTube videos, and my wife wants to keep doing graphic design work once we reach our financial goals, since these are activities we find fulfilling. Alright, now let's get to stage number 4, lean fire. This is what my wife and I have been working towards since 2017. It's the point at which you're able to retire and never have to work again if you don't want to, with an inflation-adjusted yearly 4% withdrawal from your investments, covering your current living expenses. It's called lean FIRE because most people, us included, are usually living a relatively lean and simple lifestyle, which translates to a higher savings rate and shortened the journey to FI in the first place. As I already mentioned, while we're excited to be a lot closer to this goal than we would have ever anticipated after only 7 years, especially since we're living in Austria, which is certainly not a low-tax country, we're not planning to stop working all of a sudden once we reach it. Our work will simply be limited to things we enjoy and want to be doing. And chances are we'll keep earning extra income that way and investing some of it depending on our expenses, which may or may not one day get us to stage number 5, Fat FIRE. When you're Fat FIRE, you're able to withdraw significantly more than you would actually need to cover your current living expenses and can thus afford to spend your money freely without thinking about it twice. To be honest, this was never really a goal of ours. As it turns out, so far in our lives we realized that the things we enjoy most don't actually cost a lot of money. We simply value freedom above all else. Even still, once we reach lean FIRE, fingers crossed, anything we make on top of that is money we will be able to freely use to try and raise our quality of living further. No idea what that could be yet, as the three of us are very happy the way things are right now, but I guess we'll find out if and when we get there. And since our daughter is currently only 1.5 years old, our expenses are going to increase on their own anyway, so we'll see how that will impact things. Alright, let's do a short recap and figure out if the pursuit of early retirement is worth it in Europe, even if it may seem a lot more unrealistic compared to the US with its higher salaries. Well, here's the thing, even if you never actually mathematically reach FI, having a comfy nest egg of money set aside and invested can significantly impact your life and add a ton of freedom. Using the 4% rule, you can already calculate how much extra salary you can theoretically withdraw indefinitely from what you've invested so far. If you only started investing recently, for example in broad low-cost ETFs like the Vanguard FTSE All World, and your portfolio is worth 9,000 euros, for example, as it stands, you now basically have an extra 30 euros per month you can spend every single month forever. Not only that, as you build a few months of living expenses in FU money, you can say no to a boss you don't like, as you're able to look for another position anytime, without the usual stress that comes with that decision due to the safety buffer you've accumulated. As your investments grow over time, partly on their own, and because you built the invaluable habit of saving and investing a good chunk of what you make on a monthly basis, you may be able to reduce your work hours and switch to part-time, or simply pursue a job that pays less, but which you find a lot more fulfilling. That's because you're now able to make up for any differences in pay, using the investment portfolio you've built to add more freedom to your life. And who knows, if you manage to increase your income while keeping lifestyle inflation under control for a prolonged period of time, you may one day be able to retire early if you so choose, just like what my wife and I have been working towards since 2017. Either way, in my opinion, everyone can benefit from working through the stages of early retirement. Even if you never reach it as the ultimate goal, every single step adds some form of financial freedom to your life. But even looking beyond that, at the normal retirement age, I'd argue that most pension systems in Europe are clearly unsustainable, so building your own investment portfolio to provide you with extra income if needed makes a lot of sense. Whatever you do, make sure you enjoy the journey. Stop comparing yourself to anyone you feel is doing better than you at any point in time, as that's a battle you simply can't win, and make sure you celebrate small victories along the way. Before you take off, don't forget to gently tap the like button if you enjoyed the video and to subscribe if you haven't yet. You can find the best low-cost brokers for ETFs in Europe linked down below in the description, which is a great way to support me if you'd like to. And please don't forget that none of what I mentioned today was meant as investment advice. I'm just sharing my personal opinion based on my own experience as an investor. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and until next time.